The final test to get into heaven, according to Matthew 25, is, did you feed me when I was hungry? Did you clothe me when I was naked? Did you visit me when I was in prison? Did you take care of my basic needs?
We had some issues in Wisconsin here a couple years ago, and state budgets were cut dramatically. And so every municipality had a cut in the amount of money that came from the state. So the village of Weston, which is it's about, I want to say about 6,000 people, that village needed to figure out where to cut their budget. And they decided that the thing to cut was their connection to the bus service.
It is important for me because it's the only way I can get around.
When the bus service stopped, I was basically at a loss. I'd either have to find a ride from someone or, you know, worst came to worst, call a cab, which is very expensive.
It was like the floor was taken out from underneath us. How many of us were going to lose our jobs? How could we prevent it? How many other people in other communities would lose their jobs by the loss of public transportation?
A lot of people are stranded out in the southern communities. A lot of people can't get around, and it wasn't right that they just cut it off without asking what the people wanted.
Our system was bad and getting worse, that it was underfunded, that there were huge wait times, and that basically the system had deteriorated to such a point that if you had any other viable option, you used it before you waited for a bus in our community.
To be a great city, we needed to have public transit here.
Bus service is important because people don't have cars to get around. It's hard for people to get transportation, and that's why they need to keep buses running so people can get to work.
When someone is gainfully employed and committed to providing for themselves and their family, but the barrier that they face is the opportunity to get to work in a timely manner and to get back to their families in a timely manner, I think that that's fundamentally a question of fairness. And so I think that our community had not done a reasonable job of recognizing the need for quality transit in the community.
Public transportation touches all facets of life.
The state of public transit in an American city is a testament to the state of a broader social compact.
To get to the doctor, you need transportation. To get educated, we learned about students who had to leave their classes early because the last bus would leave before their classes ended.
I had to change my doctor's appointments from Weston to Wausau. I had no way of getting out there.
It touches workers in all kinds of fields. So we're talking about hotels, we're talking about nursing homes, we're talking about hospitals, we're talking about malls. All those workers have to get to work. Well, that's going to touch on everybody else too that uses the malls and the hospitals and the nursing homes, whose parents are in nursing homes.
I don't have a car, and there's transportation for me to get where I need to go.
A few years back now, I found myself taking a van load of bus riders to a village board meeting in Weston, Wisconsin. They were so excited to be part of the discussion about something that was affecting their life very, very significantly, whether there would be transportation in their village, and they all depended on the transportation to get to grocery stores, those who were employed to get to work, and so forth.
We targeted 50 precincts that were pro-transit.
We raised an awareness of people that if you vote, you make a difference, that people got involved in democracy again like never before. There was nothing else on the ballot, and people came out for a tax election.
We knocked on 29,000 doors. We distributed 5,000 yard signs, and we received 9,000 actual promises and pledges to vote from those people we knocked on the doors. We increased the voter turnout to 26%.
Within 2 months, we spoke to about 5,000 people. I personally probably spoke to about 1,000 people.
The door-to-door was really a lot of work. I mean, it was a lot of people put in a lot of time, and they went to almost every door. The media was another very important part. And again, it was just getting people out to tell their story.
I personally knocked on maybe 50 people's doors, and you know, 95% of them were completely in favor of keeping transportation. You know, they felt it was simply for these few needy people.
I went door to door. We had a bunch of signs made up, went and handed them out. Got them, a lot of assembly work, got them all put together, and just put the word out there.
There's so much goodwill in people. I mean, people are good. But we all sit and watch the news and say, gee, how do I do anything about that?
There's this narrative about the bus system in our city, that it's only for certain people, that it's very inefficiently run, that if we would just privatize, it would be better. See, we had this narrative that wasn't true. And so what we did was we did the research on what is the truth of this story. So we showed the presentation, we broke up into small groups, we had people talk about what they had just heard, and all of a sudden, the narrative was changing to the truth.
I think number one is you really need to bring together, you know, different folks. You need to bring the faith community to the table. You need to bring the bus riders to the table, the bus drivers, the business community. You need everybody to be part of it.
There is a huge power that rests in an informed and engaged electorate.
The second piece of advice I'd have would be make it personal. People need to see and meet the people who are riding the bus.
Call their congressmen, call their representatives, anybody that they can get a hold of, and just tell them that they need the buses, that it's important to live.
The third thing that I would say is that it's about community. That it really is about what kind of a community do we want to be? Do we want to be a community that includes everybody, or are we going to be a community where everybody's on their own?
Educating people, that made a big impact. Letting people know what the real story was, instead of letting media or politicians drive this, we let information drive this. We started there with our own folks, hearing the story, and then saying, now, you have an influence of friends, bring it to yours and bring it to yours. And then once they were educated, the truth of the matter is we got a lot of that stuff done before the opposition even knew what was going on.
We've seen this group of people that was standing up and fighting for us, for public transportation, for their right to have transportation, to go to work, to jobs, to doctors, shopping, whatever. You know, it gets mighty cold up here in winter. And when they are homebound, you know, they need the service, and we wanted to help them.
I organized at my union meeting about creating different committees, you understand, to touch one another. We had everybody to come into the union meeting. I let them know how important it was for them to get out and help save their job. And as the president, I was just to organize. The motivation part came easy because the fact is, you know, we all swim together or we all drown together.
And Weston itself is a very 50-50 Democrat-Republican community. And the vote to restore bus service to Weston was held on the same day as the recall election for Governor Walker. And that vote was very close to 50-50. The referendum passed with, I believe it was 67% of the vote.
It has been in the hands of the politicians for years. We changed the culture. We took it out of the hands of the politician, put it in the hands of the people, and now the people are holding cats accountable, and we will make sure that they will deliver.
If you're persistent and you believe in what you're doing, you can get something done.
Never give up, keep going.
It just doesn't happen by word of mouth. I mean, getting 300 people out, getting access to 5,000 people to talk to, that all comes from very strong, organized effort.
Very clearly, we had a message that transcended. This wasn't perceived as a Democrat issue. It wasn't perceived as a Republican issue. It was perceived as a community issue.
This wonderful group of Americans understand what President Obama said recently is true. You can't change Washington from the inside. It can only be changed from the outside, by engaging people, by engaging your community, and by working closely with others. And the ATU has long ago decided that we're not going to be a union that things happen to, we're going to be a union that makes things happen. And that's why we're so proud to work with all the people that you've seen on this film to improve transit, not only in Weston and in Baton Rouge, but all across the country. And I applaud all the ATU officers and members around the United States and Canada who are now engaging actively in their communities.
We say yes to transit!